I'm going to read you some poetry. I don't have anything prepared. I typically don't. I like to just go off the cuff, read the room, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So firstly and foremostly, thank you all for coming here on this evening and taking time out of your lives to be present with us. This first one, shout out to Phil eating with one hand, filming with the other. This is incredible. All right, so this is called Mutual Aid Lemonade. It's inspired by just my friends and my folks. So Ryan said, if life gives you lemons, you just got free lemons. And I loved that. Who would I be, poor and hungry, to turn up my nose at such a bounty? I could make juice, I could add them to tea, maybe make a meringue if I was feeling bold. And Sarah Jane said, Mutual Aid Lemonade, which is the title of this piece. And I loved that. We could make so much lemonade, enough for everyone to drink. It would be so sweet. Life hasn't given me many lemons, but it has given me limes and time. My neighbors have given me bread and nectarines and salad greens from the garbage cans at Food Lion and Walmart. That shout out to my neighbors for getting truckloads of garbage from Walmart and giving it to me and everybody else around here. That's life, right? Molly gave me a butternut squash and a bag of sweet potatoes outside the antique mall because the farmer gave her extra and more than she could eat, and I just happened to be there while she was passing them along. And I loved that. And I gave that butternut squash to Kiana and some of the sweet potatoes and a jar of pine needle tea and some tomatoes from my garden when she hosted girls' night as a gift of gratitude, as a symbol of abundance and solidarity. Jill gave me a set of Merry Mushroom canisters. They are really having a moment right now. People pay good money for them online, and she knew I've been in a bind financially, and so, thanks, Jill. She just left with the kids. She'll be back. They always come back. I gave her eggs before in a tincture I made, which I have a bunch of those. If anybody wants a turkey tail tincture, holler at me, because I got a bunch of them. She gave me a journal she saw because it made her think of me. She gives me love and support, brings her children to my shows. I give them art and experiences. That just goes to show that we all have something to offer when we think of it. And that's Mutual Aid Lemonade. Thank you. So I figured I would start out with something like uplifting and positive, because it's only going to get worse from here. Gunshots, the flavor of Fayetteville.
Keeping that property value reasonable.
Keeping that property value reasonable, although J. Cole really did a number on the street. This is a long one. This is dedicated to my friend Shannon Lee Graves, who passed away last year, 1 year ago. Today? Or tomorrow, maybe? This is her favorite, and she might have had some other favorites if she had lived long enough to see them. But this is her favorite, so I like to honor her because she would have loved the shit out of this. She would have came in for like a little while, and then she would have like lurked somewhere outside, and then she probably would have left and like went home to take a nap. But she would have like been so jazzed on everything and everybody, and she probably would have given everyone a big hug and, maybe brought some treasures, because that was just the kind of person that she was. So she was a titan of DIY. As they say. So for my friend Shannon, I'll read this really long piece because it was her favorite. Is it possible to be both rich and revolutionary? It seems counterintuitive. Does a revolution require riches to root, or is it the being poor with nothing to lose that fertilizes the fight for whatever it is we fight for? I'm for a constitution of raindrops. Water breathing clean, fear of heavy metals, oil spills, forever chemicals, the blood and shit from the factory farms upstream, parasites and poison. I'm for growing fruit trees along city streets and planting sidewalks and bike lanes, for keeping the necessary near, reducing urban sprawl to the slow drawl of doing things by hand for ourselves and each other. I have heard that the most recognized revolutionaries have been rich, that revolt is a privilege reserved for the powerful, the academic, the children of fortune. Those faces, those figureheads, theorists, composers of criticisms, debaters in their dialectic diatribes credited with the movement, but who was it that moved them? A car doesn't roll with one wheel, does it? Whose face do you picture when you think revolutionary? I am Spartacus. See, the native and enslaved of the United States who revolted for their freedom, the keepers of faith, the connectors to the place from where we all came, the most disenfranchised, the stolen sowers of seed who toiled on stolen acres of land, whose labor built the colleges where the progeny of thieves learned new ways to enforce old ways, where oppressors made and the images of their makers made matters worse and worse and worse, where revolutions were also born, where youth marched and sat and laid, were assaulted and shot and sprayed, willing to take their place in early graves to underline the statements they made. This war is a terrible thing. This law is a terrible thing. This rotten apple didn't fall far from the tree. Am I asking the right questions? Rich and revolutionary, revolution or riches? And I guess that we need to define revolutionary before we can decide how to wrap our minds around the science of how a revolution comes to be. Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the pit or the peach? Is it a reach to believe that uprising comprising of overturning the status quo can go off from the chops of praxis and practical magic and capital squeeze from tragic circumstances? My friend said we can't find one another until we find ourselves. A revolution of self. That's what was missing, right? 6 billion utopian dreams gleaming behind the eyes of everyone alive, and that's still a divide because we can't see the lines drawn in the minds of those who should be our allies, whom we despise and demonize for the audacity to keep astride that wagon in whatever way they can. And they do the same. They think the same lowly thoughts of us. We think we have it rough. We barely have enough. The ones a rung above, they have more stuff, but they think they have it rough. They barely have enough. Up and up. Well, most of us will never see the yacht at the top of the ladder unless we're serving the cocktails or mopping the floors. Same with the 4-star hotels and the best of the best medical centers, restaurants, airplane seats, people with law degrees. C, the captives of the state who will wait and wait on cash bail for months and years till trial fails to expel reasonable doubt. Judge still sets out to send them down for years, decades, life, when the height of the crime they arrived on was smaller than the high that yuppies find in high-end dispensaries that replace bodegas on the same corners where the displaced dealers once sold the healing herbs. And taxpayers, be sure, they're still in those citizen-funded cages. They won't set foot in the bright lights and lo-fi chill beats of the hip new weedery that's doing the same numbers but suddenly legally. It never gets better, just different. And if we're being honest, how different has it been for ourselves, womankind, kind women nickeled and dimed and denied safety and rights, my sisters, our bodies autonomous only insofar as some mister sitting in the shadows denying our bleeding hearts, smoking cigars and paying for their daughters' abortions with blood money collected from our collective graves. They make it illegal for us to be safe over and over, our bodies and their choices. And then when we march, we get stomped out with police-issued boots and firepower. See, it's all girl power, pink pussy hats, and corporate pride, until it's black girl magic and girls that have baggage between their thighs, or guys who bind their chests so tight they almost die, or those who float between the lines that binary gave us to define ourselves, or anyone who doesn't succumb to that rule of thumb, penetration for procreation and never pleasure. You will be punished for intercourse unless, of course, you inhabit the highest tax bracket, and then have at it. They want us to have these children, but don't want to see them supported. Think of the children. Now, that's a whole other story. Because God forbid a kid gets a hot meal at their state-mandated, full-time, unpaid internship at the indoctrination station. Moms and dads buying up uniforms, slacks, and bulletproof backpacks on tax-free weekends, saving a couple of bucks, still can't save enough, can't save no one. Crying on the first day when they say goodbye at the bus stop, sending off the babies to salute the flag and learn to add, and be told that the natives of this land are bad, and the founding dads had it all right in 1775 when they chewed on their pipes with their donkey teeth and decided to write up the laws of the land that we still have to live by today. C, the huddled masses who migrate, escape under the shade of night, no shade in the desert, black painted gallon water rations, coyotes snatching a fat bag, getting a few past the barbed wire and walls, border patrols, and still dying in droves, truckloads, or betrayed for a buck, stuck in cages with no food or blankets. And even when they make it work and make it to work in the worst paid industries in the heat of every day, the song remains the same, gotta stay undermined and exploited, underground and under the table, and ducking the cold knife of ice, always poised to slice apart families. Mamas from babies born stateside, taken in broad daylight from their own homes and workplaces where they provide the hard labor that fills our plates with produce and poultry, our closets with the fastest fashions, their bodies full of Roundup and microplastics, all to manufacture precious products for the masses. See, what is alien to me is the concept of these lines in the sand that separate us from them, from there, from then, from now. So why don't we, take back the power? C, the cruel irony of the water protectors pelted with fire hoses, even though it's -degrees Fahrenheit. See the light, please, because everyone and everything needs water to continue to be. Water is life, and if you think about it, drink about it while it's still free-flowing from the pipes. But don't be fooled, nothing comes easy. Count your blessings and thank heavens for so-called eco-terrorists, scaring off modern-day robber barons, corporate sludge puppets, oiling up their hair and greasing powerful palms in legislative lobbies. They want us to keep calm and get some hobbies. We need to keep on and fight to put a tight lid on pipelines, decline the fracking bros, deny the platforms of drill bits, and build up the backbone to kill it. And then the battle is in our minds and on our grocery shelves and in our rental applications and our job stations, where we get minimal wages to live in moldy apartments and eat processed foods that are more preservative than nutrient, and our mental health suffers just as much as our physical, because the doctors who took oaths to do no harm have all forgotten and forsaken us because their student loan payments are through the roof, and hey, somebody's got to pay for all this. It's gonna be me and you until our emotions take hold. Small waves move big oceans. We can build boats and keep each other from choking on the salt and the surf of the surge of this class war being waged. By whose grace is there change? A benevolent patron funding the people's overrunning of ages of darkness? My friends and I keep passing around the same $20 trying to keep each other alive. But maybe they're right. We aren't leading revolutions. We're busy trying to survive. Okay, that's that. So that's how I've been feeling about a lot of things for a lot of years. I don't know why I wrote this, but I had just read The Conquest of Bread by Peter Kropotkin. And yeah, buddy. And I was thinking about that. Carpal tunnel from carving out the cracks and crevices of my cerebral consciousness. Cell phone calligraphy. Combating complex concerns come of a constant state of being, existing in a carceral state, keeping food on plates, free but longing. Long sleeves tattooed on me, ink over scar tissue, needle over nerve, need you over here. I needed to confirm the vibe, that was right. Now it's time ticking. Grandfather clock, the gong, for whom the bell tolls when for you hellscapes they dictate every little moment, movement, making motions. Moaning in the morning, all the glory, but you fuckers like it gory. The dream remains alive with the glory. Incantations imploring, inciting the incandescent omniscient to destroy the inkling of incarceration, incinerate the patriarchy, the police state, God's warriors, the forced birthers, flat earthers. We are earthworms. Cut in half, carrying on coiling, claustrophobic in the topsoil. Danger of birds, the topsoil. All the spoils, the glory, the curves to the wickedest. Wreaking warfare on the worn down, the weary, and the weak. We keep wondering when we can work up the numbers. Woman power, blood to the dirt. Sacrifice, gold to the turf. Flesh to the farthest west, wildest webs woven in willow trees growing where water winds willfully, willingly a wretch to the dredge of the toil for the check. Wet your whistle now while there's still water left, then get up and fight for it. For fossils, for forests, for forcing the famous to abandon their jets. No fuel left for your Fiat. No tires, but the fires are fed, flames flickering orange and red, form and function, for a fraction of something to help keep the fumes and the fear from our breath. Conquest and bread and breasts. They throw crumbs, we divest. Nothing left but to rip out the chests of the ones who play chess with our bodies and bread. Crush up the rich, turn their bones into bread. Eat till we're all fed, and then rest for the rest. Thanks. Conquest of Bread is very accessible anarchist literature. I highly recommend that everybody read it. There's also a podcast on Spotify where a bunch of people read it to you so that you don't have to look at a book. As I'm sure you're all aware, the world outside is really worlding. One thing I will suggest that everybody look into is war tax resistance. Because if you don't want to fund a war with your taxes, the best way to do that is to stop giving them all those taxes. I'm not saying not to pay your taxes. There is a legal and real way to do this. Look it up, war tax resistance. I don't need guns, I need fire extinguishers. The cops are holding their guns on a man on fire, collapsed and burning. His love and will hot and public, refusing to remain complicit, screaming for free Palestine. My country argues whether we should allow women to choose. while across seas the taxes paid by my countrymen have become rockets. The rockets have become fire in hospitals where women have no choice but to give birth early, without water, and to watch their babies die. And why shouldn't we be on fire? Burn revolutionary till ashes of the reactionary fall around. The importance is not to take one's life, but to burn. Rest in peace, to that airman, Aaron Bushnell, and to all the other people whose names we don't know who are getting the shit bombed out of them right now, just for existing. We die of hunger while the world's trash bins are overflowing with food. There is no justice except in heaven. That was said by Dr. Mustafa al-Nahar. He was killed in, I think it was like his either third or sixth, I get numbers mixed up, but he survived a couple of bombings and didn't survive a bombing. And he gave us those words. You should see the amount of trash food that my neighbors fill up a truck and a trailer with. And they're doing good work, they're feeding people in the community, but ain't that right? The revolution will not be televised, but the genocides will be automated. Drone strikes by AI on streets where people have congregated, starved and emaciated, their city, their culture, bombed and eviscerated. My country, my culture, vultures and waste. My neighbors have saved trucks and trailers of food from the dumpsters of companies looting the laborers of their bodies and time. At home at night, we witness war crimes on our cellular devices. I can't afford this phone bill, but I work every day still. I wake up and I check to see if the sun will tell us she is alive. And she is alive, but so many die and are dying. Surviving the guilt, we will die trying to liberate. No more taxes paid until they no longer pay to inundate free people with expensive firepower. Power to the people. To express our sovereignty and empower until we're equal. Thank you. Yeah, you wanna hear something a little more lightweight? Would anybody like to smile?
I mean, just dig it deeper.
I can also do that.
Either one.
Alright, we'll go halfway. Are we just worshiping the same gods at different altars, drawing lines in the sand where we see fit at any given moment and forgetting where we drew them after the tide and the wind erased them, and drawing them again and again and again and again, and playing an ancient game of telephone where everyone speaks in a different dialect and nothing remains of what was initially said? Are we just scaring crows for the sake of being bold, performing rituals for the sake of our souls or for the vain to uphold their roles as our leaders? Are we just leaving each other out in the cold, hanging our old suits out to dry but never bringing them back inside to fold, throwing away the untold stories and going to war for money and glory and oil? Are we just strangers on strange soil? Are we best friends in love? What are we afraid of? Okay, that was a little more halfway, right?
Yeah. Great.
Careful.
A little halfway. Can I talk about drugs on your live stream?
Of course.
Cool. Any of y'all ever done DMT?
Yeah.
Don't turn to Joe Rogan, please.
Oh my god. Fuck that guy. Although he has really created some buzz.
Huh?
Yeah, that's a lightweight
To say the least. I've been tasting spirit in my mouth, the back of my throat, tip of my tongue, enamel of my teeth. My body remembers the fall, the spiral to love, and the dragon laid down at my feet, told me they would breathe for me. Fire in the hole, pray to your gods, turn all this into gold, behold. I have borne witness to visions that would test the mental fitness of even the most literate practitioners. The axis of the spinning earth, the praxis and the ache of work. Don't kill the messenger, kill your ego instead. Too anguished to death to forget, flames on their breath, their feathers and scales. They're eating their tails, never backwards or forwards. Reborn without scars or words, and the pages turned and the balance restored. Thank you. That's lucky. Let's see. I've just got so many sad things in here. I was trying to find just something happy, but I don't have one. There's no joy to be had here lately. Not a lick. Just not a lick of joy.
That was the best searching for happy thoughts.
I don't have anything happy to share with you. I'm so sorry. Sometimes I will settle unrested into my thoughts and prayers, finite focus in tow and running low to decongest the facts and figures and red tape that tie me up. And sometimes I will remember people have done complete sentences while waiting for trial on a cash bail. I get so angry I can't form complete sentences, and that ties me up. So sometimes I will weep in the car while I'm shifting gears up and up on my way to perform labor, acquire capital. Don't wipe them away, let the tears pull up and up. Too tired and too tied up to stop to fill up my cup, my gas tank, my bank account, my heart valves. Run fresh out of money and fucks to give. Useless to the possibility of a life to live. Bruises on my arms from my own grip. Fingertips pressed into the pressure points past the water and the joint to anoint and freshen. Appointments, sessions, regression, too many built-in contentions. I count my possessions, my rations, my profession, my blessings, my actions. Feel too small to make the wheel turn. If I turn on my heel, I'll skip meals to feel the chill burn holes into my soul where my rage has been sitting. I sat out one too many games, though, to ever think about quitting. So when I'm getting in my own head, I guess I remember when Tupac said that God isn't finished with me yet. And I really don't think that God is finished with me yet. Thank you. Yeah. Here's a kind of fun one. There's probably a weirdly specific word in a language I'm not fluent in for the power trip you feel when you're driving over a bridge and you can see the rushing water like 100 feet below, and you think to yourself, I could jerk the wheel and hit the gas and break the guardrail, and I could fly over and be down in that river in seconds. Conversely, there is probably in that same language another word, like maybe a long one, for the powerlessness you feel when you're driving over a bridge and you can see the rushing water like 100 feet below, and you think to yourself, this whole thing could collapse and I could hit the brakes and break the window and try to escape, but still be down in that river in seconds. Are these thoughts intrusive enough? Am I real yet? I feel really bad that I don't have anything positive and uplifting to say anymore.
We like it.
You know what, though? My positive and uplifting thought to end this all on, in the spirit of Shannon, is that no one can do everything. Everyone can do something. Everyone is good at something. So, if we can all find our place and make sure that we're doing something every day to make our situations and the situations of those around us better, then, we're doing something. Like, that counts. So, some days are bigger than others. Elongate the spine.
Elongate that spine,
yeah. I wish the live stream could see it.
All right. Thank you all very much. Let's give it up for Matt Bingham and for Andy Lane and for Vermin Supreme. Thank you all once again for being here and for sitting with me in my despair.